Hey, welcome to Strength Side. If you're new to the channel, we do a video on fitness, movement, strength every Friday, most of the time answering a question from our viewers. So if you don't already, be sure to subscribe. If you're already a subscriber, what's up guys? In this video, we are going to go over three easy exercises for anterior pelvic tilt. So these are going to be very low intensity exercises that pretty much everybody should be able to do, and it's a great way to kick your body off going in the right direction if you're having issues with anterior pelvic tilt or just not being able to control your pelvis. Okay, so before we get to the exercises, first let's just do a brief talk on what is going wrong. So when we're in this posture, what happens is our hips dump forward here, we tip forward, and our rib cage flares up here, okay? So as you can see, what happens is I kind of get disconnected between my ribs and my pelvis. I have no more control over this anymore. And now when I go to do daily activities like bending forward to pick something off the ground, now my hips are just in this bad position. And a lot of the time what accompanies this is we start to get anterior hip pain. Front of the hips start to feel really tight. We get some lower back stiffness, and we have no midsection strength, okay? And this is going to result in dysfunction down the line, okay? Now the other thing that happens is when we do anything with our arms, like overhead, grabbing something out of a cupboard, we can't disassociate the shoulder from the rib cage. So now when I move up, my rib cage goes with me, and now a lot of the time this leads to shoulder impingement problems, and we get some shoulder pain in the front of the shoulder here, and this is not a good thing either, right? So what we need to attempt to do is to tie things back together, right? Because if I can get my rib cage to sit properly over my hips, then I am nice and aligned, and the big thing is that now my diaphragm becomes aligned to then be able to work well to let me breathe properly. And the breath controls a lot of what we do, and it definitely controls posture, okay? So bringing things back together is going to help you in everyday life activities. It's going to help you be, pain-free, and it's going to allow you to get in the gym and perform exercises and get stronger, like we all should be trying to, without running yourself into the ground, okay? So let's get to the exercises. The first exercise is a supine pelvic tilt. So what you're going to do is you're going to get down on your back like I am. And to start, we are going to bring the knees up, feet flat on the ground, almost like we're going to do a glute bridge, okay? So from here, and then also if you want a little pillow or something to stick under your head, that is allowed, okay? I'm not going to do it because I'm a man, all right? So from here, what we're going to do actually is we're just going to get some movement at the pelvis. So we're going to start in the position that you're probably already in with an arch in your lower back. This means my pelvis is tipped forward here. Now from here, all we're going to do, let me tie my shirt up here so you can see good, is we're going to force the lower back down into the ground now, and that brings my pelvis under me. Now we go back to that other position that we started in, this anterior tilted position, and then we tuck under, okay? We're just gonna go through this motion. What I suggest is putting your hands here on your stomach, and what you should be able to feel is in this position where I'm anterior tilted, I got a lot of slack in my stomach. There's not tension here, but when I pull my back down to the ground and my pelvis comes forward, now my stomach tightens up, okay? So we're practicing actually moving ourselves from this position that has become too extreme for us into a better position by using these core muscles, and you might possibly feel your glute muscles kick on as well, and that is totally fine, okay? So I want you to do anywhere from 10 to 20 reps of these. Like I said, this is very low intensity, so you should be able to do a little bit higher number of reps, and we're more just gaining awareness in this kind of trunk pelvis area. Now, next step would be to straighten the legs out, okay? This is gonna be a little bit more challenging here. because when our legs are bent, it automatically helps us go into posterior tilt. Now we don't have that help, so we're going to straighten the legs. We're going to arch, pelvis is tipped forward, and now we're going to force the lower back into the ground. I feel my abs tighten up here. Okay, so we're here. Rib cage flares, rib cage comes down. Okay, remember to breathe throughout all these exercises. That's going to be very important. Okay, next exercise. Okay, our next exercise is going to be a supine pullover. So we're going to start in actually the same position. So we have our feet down flat on the ground, and this time we're going to start by engaging the stomach here and making sure that we are not in anterior pelvic tilt here, that we have tension in the stomach and that our rib cage stays down and back to the ground. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my arms up over me just like this, so my hands are right over my chest. You can clasp your hands like this, you can leave them like this like I am, and from here what we're going to do is we're going to slowly let our arms come up over our head here, and then you're just going to go down as far as you can. If you can get your thumbs to the floor, you're doing very well. Chances are you won't be able to without letting your rib cage flare up. So if your rib cage is flaring and my lower back coming off the ground to get my shoulders or to get my thumbs down to the ground, that's wrong. We don't want to do that. We want to keep our lower back and our rib cage down, and if it starts to come up, that's the end of our range of motion. So say it's here, and if I to get any farther, I would have to flare. We don't want to go any farther. We just want to work in this range. So I'm going to just give you the example of someone who can get about here. I'm just going to work right here. Now what we're doing is as my arms get lower to the ground, it's going to put more force on my my stomach here to maintain this ribs down position. Okay, this is excellent, and we're also going to be working our shoulders into an overhead position, and we probably get a little bit of stretch in the lats as well, which is going to be great if you find yourself in a lot of extension and anterior pelvic tilt. So we're going to work here. Now as you get better at this, once again, we can straighten out the legs. This is just going to make it more challenging to keep our rib cage down, but with the right amount of consistency and practice here, you will be able to achieve this. And this is just going to mean that now your shoulder can move without having to flare that rib cage up, and your stomach is going to be doing the work here to keep your torso rib cage in the right position while that movement is happening at the shoulder. Now, if you do want to challenge yourself a little bit more, put like a medicine ball, a kettlebell, a dumbbell in your hand. I don't have one handy, but let's pretend I'm holding a 100-pound ball here. Just kidding, that's way too heavy. Let's say 10-pound ball. Now, I'm gonna just work this same motion, and now with the added resistance, once I get to, getting down close to the ground, it's really going to be forcing my ribs to come up, so I'm really going to have to contract my stomach to keep them down. Okay, last exercise is going to be a supine heel slide. Okay, so once again, we're going to start in the same position. Now this exercise is very low intensity, like all these exercises are, but if you have a lot of trouble with controlling your pelvis region, this is really going to help to stabilize that, okay? So I'm in the same position that we've started every exercise in, with my feet flat on the ground, knees bent. We're going to, force the ribs down, make sure that my stomach is on, my lower back is flat to the ground, and from here, all we're going to do is just slide a heel out till it's straight, and then bring it back, okay? This is actually a lot easier to do if you have socks on. I do not, so this is a little rough. sliding on the ground here, but we're still making it work. And what's happening here is I'm really having to stabilize at my stomach to facilitate this hip extension and then flexion, right? And you'll feel if you go up an arch here, then it's going to feel off. You're going to feel like you're really pulling through hip flexor quad area, when we want this hip to just feel nice and fluid because we're doing it on a stable torso, okay? So of course we're gonna do both sides here. Like I said, this is very low intensity but can have great benefits. I like to start people off with something like this just to start to gain awareness of what's going on in their core region. Okay, now this will also give you any indications of asymmetry. So if my left is just running nice and smooth, but my right feels kind of bumpy, I'm getting some clicks in here, then that's just a little indicator that something's going on this right side, and we're gonna work a little bit more on this right side to really try to stabilize and to facilitate some better movement. All right, guys, so that is 3 very easy, low-intense exercises that you can do to start to gain better control of your pelvis and reverse too much anterior pelvic tilt. Like all things that are going on in your body, these are some corrective exercises that you can use to help you, but being aware of your posture in everyday life, not letting your hips tip forward in that ribcage flare, noticing when you do this and bringing yourself back into better alignment is going to be a huge piece of the puzzle as well. We need to do those 2 things together for you to get the best results that you can get. If you are doing these exercises, or if you think these exercises are a little bit too easy for you, we have another video that has some exercises that are a little bit more challenging. So maybe if you've tried these, you feel like you're getting good at them, I'll try to link that somewhere around here. And move on, progress, do some harder exercises, keep challenging that core. All right, guys, that's it for today. Go Warriors, and we will see you in the next video. Let us know if you have any questions. We'll see you next time.